Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're doing something interesting. I'm going to show you how to make a bolster for your knife from the very first steps to the very last step so that your knife is ready, you can just put a handle on it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so my bolster pieces are already cut out and I used all of my material, so I can't even show you how it looks when I buy it, but it's already cut out. The cutting out process is really easy. You just mark out the shape you want on the steel, you cut it over the angle grinder and you flatten it on the disc sander. Then the bolsters are ready for drilling. Okay, before we start making bolsters, you need to familiarize yourself with a few things. First of all, imagine this as the blade. This is the backbone of your blade, the profile of your blade. So we need to drill 2 holes or 4 holes through the blade to attach our bolsters to. Now, because we're not doing a taper tang, it is easy. We can just drill through the bolster, through the other bolster and through the blade, and it will be lined up perfect. But when you pin your bolsters on the top here, the metal actually puts out in the middle also, and it doesn't just dome at the end of it, so it also puts out in the middle. And for that we need to make a countersink hole in the inside of the bolster. Now, when you're doing the inside countersink on the bolster, you need to be really careful. Left should always be left and right should always be right, otherwise it's not going to fit and you can throw all that material away. So without further ado, let's get drilling these holes and countersink this. Okay, so the other thing also is the amount of material sticking out outside of the bolster is very, very, very important. The length of the pin material. I will get into this later in the video, but just keep this in mind so that you don't cut your pins too short. Okay, so you need a way to clamp your bolsters to your blade so that you can clamp the blade to the bolsters and use the hardened steel of the blade as guides for where the pins need to go. Now, you don't need this. You can figure something out, like taking a punch, or you can figure something out. I made knives about 4 months before I got these things, but let me show you how they work. They work really, really nicely. So what you do is you take both of your bolster pieces here, and you take your clamp, you set the blade on the bolster pieces, bring it into the clamp. So you need to watch out so that you don't actually clamp your, well, you need to set up your clamp in such a way that you don't drill through your own clamp. I have done it. It's on this clamp. There's a hole right literally straight through the thread of my clamp, and I'm very lucky I didn't damage the actual thread. So you want to clamp on, well, you want to try to clamp on both clamps, but if it doesn't fit, it's okay. Or you can actually just clamp it up and move it, and clamp it up and move it, just so you can get the holes drilled. And this is also a very good indication of how flat and straight your blade is, and also how flat your bolster is. So I'm going to clamp these up and put it in the drill so you can see how I drill the holes out. Okay, so before you start drilling, you need to make sure the table of your drill press is 90 degrees with the drill chuck. Otherwise, the flattening you did on the blade and the flattening you did on the bolsters are completely useless. Before you start drilling, you put on some coolant. Yeah, my bottle is leaking a lot. I need to figure that out, but let's start drilling. Nice. My drill bit is dull. Okay, let's try the other drill bit. Okay, so the holes are now drilled through the bolster, and what you want is a nice snug fit with not a lot of play on it. And this bolster has 4 holes on it. So I have to do a few other knives, but let's get into the next step. So you see this reaches over there, the blow through of the drill. We want to grind those flat. The other side, which is actually smooth, we want to grind that flat, and also the other piece, we want to grind all the pieces flat again, because the heat could have made some warps on it. Okay, so it is not necessary to do a lot of effort in making this straight again. Usually it doesn't warp that much. If it does, so just make sure that the bolsters are flat and even with each other. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this video. Watch out for the part 2 next week, about, yeah, sometime next week, for part 2, when I talk about the pins and the counter boring and all those stuff more in detail. But you should be able to drill the holes for your bolster right now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.